talk to any billionaire, and I have talking to quite a few, they typically between 40 and 60% of their success is all luck, coincidence, and opportunity. They get such a tunnel vision. It's like you can't see anything around you, and that's where all the opportunity lies. Once you crystallize your identity, your purpose almost shows up in front of you.
What one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today?
You have to delegate the task, but you own the responsibility.
Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin. I'm a business growth expert who help business owners grow and scale to create wealth and freedom.
Today, I have an awesome guest. His name is Steven Eugene Kuhn, and he is a strategic advisor and coach with a 30-year track record, fueling over 700 million in success for executives and entrepreneurs. From rock stars to royals, his expertise thrives in propelling visionary business owners to monumental heights, tackling any challenge through one-on-one guidance. And the author of Unleash Your Humble Alpha, Steven unearths hidden power within leaders and gives access to his massive network for the small and medium-sized business owner who typically do not have access to such solutions, all while holding the title of military combat veteran, keynote speaker, and international citizen, having lived in 10 countries. And Steven's journey from a determined young boy to an influential leader and mentor serves as a testament to the power of resilience and the capacity for transformation. And with an unwavering focus on empowering others, he continues to leave an enduring legacy of positive change in the lives of those he touches. And Steven's commitment to leadership and the betterment of humanity makes him a beacon of hope and an exceptional role model for generations to come. Welcome, Steven Eugene Kuhn, and thank you for being on the Business Growth Show.
Thank you so much. Isn't ChatGPT wonderful? That bio?
It's awesome, man.
That's amazing.
You sound amazing. I hope I did it justice with the way I delivered it as well.
You did. Absolutely. Way over the top. I love it, man.
I've interviewed Bruce Buffer, man. I'm trying to take some notes, right, to make an impact. How I do it. So
awesome. Great job. Great job. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It's going to be awesome here, I'm sure, for everyone watching and listening today. And you are a successful entrepreneur. And yeah, I guess for those people that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit more about you and your journey.
Well, you know, I grew up I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, USA. We call it Pennsyltucky because it's in the middle of nowhere, sort of like a mix between Pennsylvania and Kentucky. And I left when I was 19 years old. I was a complete loser in high school, hated myself, had no self-confidence. So I needed to force myself into something. And I knew at a young age that I had to force myself into something to grow. So I joined the military. And right away, I was forced into something that changed me and ended up getting shipped off to Germany, where I learned German, mixed with the locals. And then I was sent off to Iraq for the first Gulf War and changed my whole outlook on life once I got there. And then I returned and decided to get out. And when I got out, I didn't want to go back to the States because I felt like that was sort of going home with the tail between my legs. So I decided to start a business in Germany, which was a cocktail bar. And then I opened another one, and then a nightclub, and an insurance agency, and then a construction company, and then, you know, a consultancy. And I just kept going from there. I wrote a book, was an MTV VJ, was a newscaster, an actor, pretty much everything that I wanted to do to fulfill sort of the dreams that I had of, you know, being somebody. I was trying to get that on the outside. And then in 2008, I had a personal event that happened that changed everything, that basically told me that all that on the outside means nothing if the inside's not square. And so that's what I've been working on since then. And that's how I work with my clients as a business advisor and coach, is that we work on the inside, because the simple fact is this: without you and your world doesn't exist. So if you're not square, your world's not square.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that extra part of the journey. And yeah, you've done so many different things and yeah, created a lot of success. And I know you help, I guess, entrepreneurs, let's say that early stage as well, right? Maybe they're making six figures already. They want to, you know, generate, you know, multi-millions and, you know, you've helped them do it very quickly. What do you think are some of the, I guess, biggest things that are holding them back, you know, from that breakthrough?
Well, the first thing I believe is there's two things that we learn, and that's hustle and grind and nose to the grindstone. So hustle and grind, in my opinion, is two words made up by somebody who wants you to feel better about working way too much. And then you have nose to the grindstone. And if your nose is to the grindstone, what are you looking at? You're looking at the grindstone. And what you don't see is luck, coincidence, opportunity, doors opening, connections, people that are just walking by that may be someone who could change your life. And so if you talk to any billionaire, and I have, talking to quite a few, they typically between 40 and 60% of their success is all luck, coincidence, and opportunity. So if you're not focused on the outside, panning out like you do in the movies, you pan out, look at the whole scene and what's going on, you're going to miss all those things that could be one simple word, a person, a situation, a moment that would change your entire business. So what I do is I help with my clients to lift their head, keep them checked in at 90 degrees, so they're looking around while focusing on their grindstone, if you will. And I think that's the biggest one, is that they get such a tunnel vision and they really want to do it. And it's all in good faith and good meaning. But they really need to get out of that funk of head down. That even the word head down, it just tells you everything. It's like you can't see anything around you, and that's where all the opportunity lies.
Yeah, awesome. I completely agree. It's that reticular activating system thing, right? You know, in our brain, which allows us to focus. When you say the red car, you start seeing red cars everywhere, and even though they were always there, right? So you're basically making sure that they're aware now of going, these are things that are actually around me, and then start to look for those opportunities, which I think is really powerful. And
opportunities, for a lot of the clients that I work with, a lot of the even non-clients that I have that get up on calls with, is they don't see the deals in their network. So I do mergers and acquisitions, been doing it for quite a while. And the first time I did it, I went out and said, let me try this. And I had equity in 22 companies within a year. And people asked me how I did it. And basically it's the same way. Opportunities, looking out, how can I add a service? How can I get paid for that service and get equity in the company at the same time? One of the first companies that I took over was in Australia, actually. I got 30% equity and I got paid a monthly retainer to help them grow and scale. And then I exited after 3 years. And so you're getting paid for equity in a company and you get to exit and you have the capital event as well. So I help people who have services learn how to offer those services, get paid for those services, and have equity in the company that they can then create a capital event later down the road. And it's just all of these things are just opportunities. It's all about people. That's all it is. Without that front end, without the people, without those relationships, none of this happens.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I think one big thing that I see that I'd love to know your perspective on is there sort of needs to be an identity shift, right? Because sometimes they're stuck in they're just the business owner or something like that. But this is a whole nother ball game, right? When we're doing a lot of different deals like that. So I'd love to know your thoughts around that identity piece too.
Well, it's funny you say that, because in my book, Unleash Your Humble Alpha, the first chapter is all about identity. So it goes like this: identity, purpose, and certainty. So the identity, once you crystallize your identity, your purpose almost shows up in front of you. And once you have that and you start working through your purpose, that amplifies your identity, which creates presence and certainty in your ability to deploy your genius or talents in any given situation. So identity is the key. For instance, when I got out of the military, until probably 10, 15 years later, I was still a soldier, because that was the only thing I did in my life that I felt like I had a true identity. And so I schlepped that along my entire life, and it was really hindering me in my progress. And when I remember I had a suicide attempt back in 2008. And what did I do when I was ready to go is I pulled out my uniform from the military, a picture of me in the military, and I put it out, and I was ready to go. And that was who I was, still, almost 15 years later. And at that moment, I was saved by an angel, I guess you could say. And after that, I said, man, who the heck am I? Like, what am I doing? Like, I have a bar, I have a construction company, I have this, I have that. Who am I? And so I didn't know where to focus. I didn't even know what I was good at. So when I was writing the book, and well, someone asked me, said, how did you do all these things? Like, I worked for Mick Jagger, Olivia Newton-John, Andrea Bocelli, the Royals, Parliaments, you name it. And they said, how did you do that? And I said, I just walked up to them and started talking to them. They said, no, there's got to be something, And so I had to dissect my life and say, how did I do these things? And it really came down to the point that at some time I realized who I was. And so I put that into words. So in the first chapter, you actually have action steps at the very end to find out exactly who you are. You get a 2-word moniker and an identity statement. My 2-word moniker is powerful connector. What that means is I connect people powerfully, inject into those relationships, accompany these relationships to ensure that both parties receive and give what they agreed upon. And then I look and I stay with them until the outcome is achieved, until, the fruits of the efforts are done. So once I realized that, that's all I do. I don't do anything else. I connect, I inject power, I accompany them until fruition, and then I depart, or we stay friends, which usually is the case. And when you can do that, because you know who you are, you know what your purpose is, and you pour yourself into that, using that as your, let's say, your scope of how you look at the world, everything changes. Everything changes. So identity Put it this way. 99% of the people on the planet don't know who they are. You ask them who they are. Oh, I'm the CEO. You've heard it. You're in a fight or someone's arguing. Hey, do you know who I am? Yeah, I know, I don't, but you're going to tell me, right? And it's probably not who you are. I'm the CEO. Nope, that's what you do. I'm a father. Nope, that's what you do. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. Nope, that's what you do. Who are you? What do you mean? Most people don't know. Once you find that out, it's like the golden egg, man. It's so powerful.
Yeah, love it. Completely agree. And I definitely agree upon working like with really big people, right? Like on my podcast, I've interviewed a lot of big names all over the world in Australia, right? And a lot of these people are hard to get to, right? And I've built it through relationships. And a lot of people say, how do you, get them? And I say, well, I ask. And sometimes I have to ask multiple times. I've got a few no's, right? Before I've gotten the yes. And people, quit too early in a nice way, not like, hounding them or anything like that over time. And the other thing is as well, I learned this when I was working in my job initially for the managing director. Everyone was scared of him. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's just a person. I used to just walk into his office talking about all this fun stuff and actually build a relationship. And then you realize that everyone's just a person. It doesn't matter what level they're on. I think if you look at it like that and anybody, then that's how you build a relationship with these high level people from my size as well.
And everyone wants connection. Everyone wants that empathy. Everyone wants that feeling of having, sort of a connection to somebody around them, no matter who they are, no matter how tough they are. I mean, hell, I walked up to Bill Clinton in the middle of a hotel one time, and we talked for 30 minutes, and the whole Secret Service, everybody's like, who is this guy? Like, who is this guy? He just walks up, and we're talking for like 30 minutes, because I'm not there to get anything. So I have this thing in the book called Creating Space. Creating space is showing up wholly and fully for the people or the person in front of you with no preconceived notions or cookie cutter solutions or an expectation of a specific outcome, focusing on the only thing that you can control, and that's the intention of adding value by solving problems. When you do that, you create a space around the two of you, and you just co-create this beautiful conversation that can or may lead to something bigger and better. And so when you go into every conversation like that, whether it's business or private or with your wife or your husband or whatever, the outcome is unknown, but the intention is there to have a fruitful and positive outcome. And that's usually what happens because you're co-creating. When you try to force something on somebody, you try to expect expectations of an outcome and you try to push it that way. You have leverage, and with leverage, someone always loses. So drop the leverage, drop the pushing, and just create some space and look and see what the beauty of it is.
Yeah, nice. It's that energy, right? That you go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frequency. It's all frequency. Like my life motto is, I create radiant value to elevate others to a higher frequency. And so that radiant value is I may give you advice and some tips that you would give to somebody else through you. And that's radiant value, the ripple effect. And that elevates others automatically to a higher frequency. And people say vibe, vibration, frequency, whatever. I just say frequency.
Yeah, it's all the same, man, and I love it. You definitely like that. I remember when we first met in Dubai earlier this year, and it was amazing, right? To spend some amazing time with Sergio and Caroline, Real Housewives of Dubai, but just the small group that we had, it was just high level people. You know what I mean? Like that we're talking, and it's a different conversation and it's a different energy, right? When you've got a lot of those people in one space, I think there's more magic that can be created, especially when you really connect. With certain people that are in that group.
Absolutely. And there's a tip that I have for a lot of people who connect, because you see a lot of people go into situations like that or go into, sort of meetings like that or events like that, and they really want to connect and they overdo it and they're hounding, and then they follow up and they write, and there's just not clicking. I can say this: if you want to stay the beacon of your own identity, you have to embrace what fits and what doesn't. And if you're talking to somebody and they're famous, but you just don't click, then let it go. Some people hang on too much because, I need that. And so I'm very easy about that. If I don't care how much money you have, if you're going to pay me or whatever, if we don't click, we don't click. I'm not going to force anything. And that allows me to have such an ease of life. And that goes with anything. If my wife says something that I don't agree with, and I look at the big picture and say, how much of an impact is this going to have in the rest of my life if I just let it go? None. So I'm going to let it go. And it's the same thing as like, if I've never met this person and now I've met them, what's going to change? Nothing. All right. Well, then I'm not going to worry about it. So taking life at ease and staying true to who you truly are. And I mean that. Look, this sounds holistic, but I'm close to $1 billion, raising and generating $1 billion in my time by myself without, big, huge companies or VC or PE. And that's only because I approach every situation like this. You went in? Cool. We get along? Great. Let's do something. And because of that frequency, because of that vibe, I can go out and get funding sometimes in days where it takes other people months. And that's because of the relationships that I have. Everything's built on integrity. Every healthy relationship is built on integrity. Without integrity, you got leverage. And with leverage, like I said, someone always loses. And there's a model that I use called HIT. They used to call me the hit man. I've been teaching this for almost 20 years now. And I speak all over the world on this. I've spoken on Mind Valley stages. I've spoken on M&A stages all over the world about the front end of a deal. How do you build the relationships? It's all built on integrity. So HIT stands for honesty, integrity, and transparency. Honesty with yourself, why you do, say, and think like you do. Transparency is how you step into the world with that honesty, and it's your ongoing reputation. The byproduct is integrity. Integrity makes you authentic. Authenticity allows you to dictate your market value. When that model right there is my whole life. Just that simple model is my whole life. Then you step in and you create space, which builds more integrity, more authenticity. And so there's a whole roll of most 5 models in the book where you just step by step learn this. And it simplifies life, it simplifies business, and it creates momentum, and it creates integration in your life where this work-life balance everyone talks about, it's a farce, it's a myth. There's no such thing because you're not 2 people. You can't balance yourself like that. And if you're on a bicycle, for instance, and you're not moving, you're going to fall over, right? So the only way to stay upright on a bicycle is to move, momentum, and integrate yourself into the bike. So when you turn, for instance, you lean because you're integrated into the bike. You don't turn the handles, you lean. That's sort of how life is, business and personal life, integrating yourself into that through your identity, through your purpose, creating certainty. And certainty allows you to let go of how you're going to do anything because you're certain that you're going to do it. And certainty comes after belief, faith, certainty, being. Belief is an active force, like I believe this is going to happen. Faith is, yeah, I think I can let go. I think it's really going to happen. And the thing about that is, a lot of times, faith is funny because people say, I have faith in God that He's going to, provide for me. And I ask them, Lynn, why do you pray for the same thing every week in church? Because if you actually believed and had faith, then you wouldn't keep asking for the same thing because you would let it go. That's where certainty comes in. So that third step, certainty. And once you have certainty, you become that thing. And that's the being part of whatever it is that you're wanting to do, because you become that thing. And that's the whole process that comes through also in the book.
Yeah, awesome, man. Very, very powerful section of being there that you did. And I guess while we're still on the book, is there anything else that you want to share just generally about like what's in the book? Because I love the title, about it. And I think there's a lot of power. You've already shared some cool stuff, with identity and other things. Yeah.
It's called Unleash Your Humble Alpha, Own Your Presence in Life, and Become the Epic Leader You're Meant to Be. It's hard to choose a title for a book like this, because it's literally my life broken down into structures, right? And I have a co-author as well. He added his parts to it as well. He's a special forces veteran, just like me. He's a veteran. And I think the most important thing in the book is first of all, it's become university curriculum in some universities in America because it's so structured that way. It's really a workbook. Coaches all over the world use it as it is for their coaching clients. Like, here, we're going to work through this book, which is sort of cool. But I think one of the big takeaways that people get from the book they talk to me about is the attitude on being the CEO of your own life enterprise. So just like a business enterprise, a CEO answers to 2 groups of people. It's the board of directors and the shareholders, or the stakeholders, right? And you, in your life, in your business, in your life enterprise, you answer to 2 groups as well. That's your board of directors, which is your immediate family, and the share and stakeholders is everyone else in your life. And how does the CEO run a business? They make sure it's healthy, they make sure the employees are happy, and they make sure it's profitable. So if you look at your life enterprise like that, is my life healthy? Am I healthy? Is my family healthy? Are we growing? Are they happy? And are we profitable? If you can run your life like that, and you look at your life enterprise like a business enterprise, you can really change things and look forward to growth and scale in a way that you've never seen before. I think that's a big one out of the book that a lot of people talk about, but it doesn't get too much focus on it. Everyone likes HIT because it's kitschy, like the hitman and all this kind of stuff, or creating space. That sounds great and everything, but that life enterprise piece is huge. And I go really into detail how I turned around companies using that model all over the world. I've turned around over 100 companies, owned over 20 of my own companies. And I've always put these models in place. And these aren't things that I've learned, by the way. These are things that I just created, implemented through my experience in the military afterwards, fighting on the streets of Berlin, Germany, You know, I was like I'm talking like knockdown, dragging out fist fights when I was raging PTSD after the war. All these things that I learned about people, right, through all these years is sort of what came out in the book. So it's quite an accomplishment for me because I was able to structure my life and find out who I was and put a model to how I live and then teach it to others. It's a blessing and it's an honor.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I completely agree. Like for me, I always say business is the vehicle for your life, right? Like, you know, you've got this machine, but really it's all the ultimate life. And that's the way you want to be living, that freedom or that whatever you enjoy doing, right? And ideally, you know, if you've got a partner, if you've got family, children, whatever that looks like. And I think the partner is a really big one. You've got an amazing wife, Olga, right? Meeting her as well. She's amazing. And you guys are like a powerful duo, right? Like you're doing deals together, you're traveling together all over the place, you're doing a lot. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about the power of having that partner, right? You know, in terms of that life and success and business success. Yeah.
It's everything. It's truly everything. When I look back at my life, the most powerful moments I had, you know, pale in comparison to what her and I are doing, what Olga and I are doing now. Not just from the results, that too, but it's from the feeling I have inside of completeness, of power, of force, of that presence that we have together. When we walk into a room, we own it. You know, we absolutely own the room when we walk into it. And that's because we both know who we are, and we're both absolutely certain of our abilities, and we know that we can deploy those abilities and genius in any given situation. So we have zero doubt in anything that we do. We have absolute certainty. And that alone comes through her knowing who I am and me knowing who she is, and we playing to each other's strengths and allowing them to take the role where they need to take the role. So there's things that Olga do that I can do, but she does them better. So as a man, sometimes you might say, no, baby, you know, I have 30 years of experience on me, you know. No, her intuition kicks absolute ass. The way she does things with no knowledge of the industry, like for instance, our first deal that we did in Turkey, I know she's done deals before with property and real estate. So it's not, you know, like she's wasn't in business, and she ran a big company in I think 8 countries, operations director. But we decided to do a big deal here in the solar space. Neither one of us were ever in the solar space. And she took over the deal. She built the relationships and she closed a $120 million deal, her first deal, $120 million. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. That's a woman right there, I'll tell you, you know, and that just gives you faith in the fact that she can do it and I can do it on our own. But when we do it together, it's a beautiful thing. Not to mention, she's ultra feminine. So she's very feminine, as you probably saw. And that is a very fine line when you're in meetings or when you're closing these big deals, because a lot of women try to be masculine so they could fit in. A lot of women are too feminine or girlish, so they're not taken seriously. Somehow she's right there in the dead center where everyone takes her seriously. She's absolutely stunning, beautiful, absolutely feminine, but no one would ever, like, you know, step over that line ever, and they never have. And so that, for me, I've never seen that. She's from Ukraine. She's got a blessed background, lived in 8 countries, speaks 5 languages, super smart, super clever, but she's my queen. And I will do anything to protect and to elevate her and to help her succeed, to the point where I have to sacrifice what I believed was right sometimes because it was better for her. That's the power of a relationship. I'm growing like I've never grown at 57 years old, 3rd marriage. I'm growing like I've never grown before, just through her. So how powerful do you think of the right partner is? It's everything.
Yeah, I love it, and yeah, I'll agree definitely with my wife Irene. You know, she's amazing as well, and has those opposites, right, that are there. And I'm just working through like integrating, because she's got her own business, a branding agency, and I've just had a conversation the last few weeks, going, listen, I'm better at doing the strategic stuff, the visionary, the deals. Get me involved. Let me do that stuff with you, right? It's there to grow the business, and you can do that other stuff. And sometimes I might need a bit more structure and things in my businesses or whatever else I've got going on, right? And you can not necessarily do the work, but provide that structure that you may be better at doing in that area there. And it's that integration piece that I think is really powerful. So yeah, I love that, mate.
Absolutely.
And
well, it's for me.
yeah,
It's also very important that most people won't touch on this, but I will. And I never realized it until I actually met the right woman, partner, is that a man's worth and his value is an absolute reflection of the woman that's on his side. period. Look at anybody who's ultra successful, who's on their side, a powerful, strong, beautiful, in whatever way beautiful is, woman. And so a man who wants to be that full sort of present person alone, it's almost impossible, because you have the masculine, the feminine, the yin and yang. We both have it in us. You know, we all have it, both of us. Even plants and animals have the masculine and feminine, right? So it's that yin and yang that has to happen. And when you find your yang to your yin, man, it's crazy in every way.
I love it. That's
and
awesome.
Hey, life's to live, right? So why not? You know?
That's right. You got to make sure. Well, it's like any relationship. I remember hearing that, like, there's always tension, right? And tension's a good thing because you are opposites, right? In that way. So when it gets a little bit heated emotionally or whatever like that, it's actually a good thing, right? It shows that there's a spark, and it's just having the emotional awareness to be able to move through that and actually use it instead of it propelling you like away. It's actually to use it to go together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that's all learning. You know, at my age, you know, I was always a dominant one. I decided I did this, I did that, and she's like, "No, we're doing this, or I'm going to do it this way," and I'm like, "What the?" You know, I wasn't used to it, so it's a lot of growth for me, and it's beautiful because I've really been able to sit back and embrace and watch and learn, and it's just to be able to learn from someone who's 20 years younger than you. I mean, age has nothing to do with it, but my experience and all the things that I've done, sometimes I guess I went to my head and like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And even though I have coaches and mentors slapping me in the back of the head all the time, you know, with your partner, you tend to take the lead, right? As a man, at least I do. And she keeps me in check, and I love it. Not always, but I accept it in the end anyway. Like I have a choice, right?
That's it. There's the old saying, happy wife, happy life. You can't create too much tension there where possible, right? It's a healthy amount of tension.
Exactly.
I love it. So I want to talk a little bit about children here, right? Because I think this is an important topic as well. I know you're there where it's that legacy element, right? As well with doing something. Now, you've obviously got an interesting situation, you know, multiple wives and things, but, you know, children are children in the end, and you try and give the most you can for, you know, while you're there. How do you think that can affect someone, you know, that's a business owner that might be now wanting to pass on the legacy, I guess, in terms of how they are, like, you know, as a man or as a person in business? Yeah.
Well, I think the fundamentals are key. You know, a lot of people jump straight to entrepreneurship, or they jump straight to being a leader, or they jump straight to, you know, sort of making things happen. And I always think it's the foundation of integrity, of honesty, transparency, knowing who you are, being good to the people around you, treating others like you want to be treated. All these things, for me, that's key. That's what I talk about with the kids. So we have 2 kids here, and we got 2 kids in Hungary. And you know, there's a lot to be said for daily situations where you can correct or supplement or support them in their decision-making processes through coaching. You know, and children are very receptive to it if you do it in the right way. What I use a lot is a 2-option rule. You know, if you say, "Hey, go to bed," "No, I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to bed." "Go to bed." "Go, no, I don't want to go to bed." Okay, you got 2 choices. You go to bed, or you're going to go on the sofa and sleep. And they always choose one, right? It ends the conversation right there. And that allows them to realize, okay, I have to make a decision, right? I'm given a choice. And later down the road, they're going to say, "Hey, can I sleep in the sofa, or do I have to sleep in the bed?" So they're going to start making decisions on their own. That's one part of it. The other one is say goodbye, say hello, say thank you, all these things. Look in the eyes when you talk to somebody, shake their hand when you shake their hand. And just all these things, that's what matters to me most. And when it comes to business, you know, I want the kids to make their own way. Of course, you're going to help them. You can't help but help them, right? But I want the kids to make their own way. They need to find their own way. Like Olga and I, we fought tooth and nail to get where we are. You know, I lived in a mobile home, you know. I was working since I was 14 years old in a tree farm, digging out Christmas trees and replanting, you know, that kind of stuff. And so, well, I want my kids to have that feeling, because that's where the self-worth comes from, right? Like, I've achieved something in my life and nothing was given to me. And, you know, so legacy is one thing, but working towards your own legacy is probably, for me, more important. I never want to have spoiled kids. Okay, they're spoiled a little bit, but not to the point where it's just, you know, they just become intolerable to anything around them. So super important for me is the foundations.
Yeah, no, I love that. Definitely. It sounds really important. And it's almost like it's powerful, right? Because you're quite a conscious parent, right? And by able to instill these into kids, where maybe our parents, right, didn't necessarily do that to us because they were just doing what their parents did, and we're sort of like breaking the mold, right? And when you can create these really empowering children, it's like they're going to be unstoppable, basically, right? Ideally, by giving them that self belief and the right beliefs and everything that becomes part of that. Yeah.
Olga's really good at that too. She's very cut and dry, and she's really good at making sure that they understand what the world's about. The foundational stuff, what is real and what's not real, and what's right and not right. She's really good about it in the moment, like in the moment. Stop, listen now.
I love
I'm more
it.
like the cool guy, like, hey, check it out, kind of thing.
Hey,
Great mix.
Yes, you got to play different roles, right?
Yeah.
To get it, depending on the children and the time of what the situation is. So yeah,
Well,
love that.
6-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old. No, sorry, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old. It's all you.
Yeah. And it's, if I want to read the first 7 years of that first stage, right, where they get a lot of beliefs, and then it's the next stage. So they're all, just past or almost there at that stage. And it starts to become more interesting right after that as they start.
What is it like?
Right.
First 7 years, they're a slave. Like you basically have to treat them like a slave. Tell them exactly what to do. The second 7 years, they're no, sorry. First 7 years, they're a king or a queen. Second 7 years, they're a slave, and after that, they're your friend. That's what they say. I don't know, but I read that the other day. I was like, what? Okay, slave. I don't know about that, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
about discipline and then growth. That's basically the 3 stages.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. Really, really powerful.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. Coaching, mentoring, right? We're both coaches, mentors, and we've had a lot of coaching, mentoring as well, right? Ours. I'd love to know from your perspective around how important, coaching, mentoring's been for you, what it's helped you achieve in your business and your life.
I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am right now without it. You can't do it on your own. Anyone who says they're a self-made man is full of shit. There's no such thing. You have somebody always that's taught you, whether it's your parents, your teachers, your friends, somebody down the road, a CEO. Like I had a guy one time, CEO. So I was working in the bar. I had my bars, and I had this guy come in all the time, and he had this big company he was launching in Germany from South Africa, and I actually know it was UK. He was from South Africa, and he was a CEO, and he said, "I want you to run my company." It's like, I'm a bartender. Now, yeah, but you own the business, and I see you run it well. I'm like, yeah, but come on, I don't know anything about corporations. It's a listed company. So he brought me on, and I'm there in a suit and tie for the first time in my life, feeling totally uncomfortable. I'm like, the hell is this? This doesn't feel like me, this kind of stuff. And he's showing me the P&L and the budgets. And I didn't even know what P&L stood for. I had no idea what budget was. I'm looking at these lines. He goes, well, here's this. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I've never seen any of this stuff before. And I was so frustrated. And the air conditioner went out. It was summer in Berlin. I was sweating. I had a tie on. I was so aggressive. And I said, Mark, I quit. Like this, I can't do this. This isn't me. I'm gonna go back to my bar. And he said, Steven, shut up. Here's something that you need to know. He said, if I see it in you, it means it's in you. You just need to embrace it. And I was like, wow, what the hell does that mean? And I absolutely embraced it and crushed it and broke every revenue record that company ever had for years. I ended up working for that company for almost 15 years on and off, depending on which regions. And I use that now with all of my clients. Like, this is what I see in you, and this is what I see that you're capable of. So embrace that. And that's just the first step, because it's going to keep going from there. And so that mentorship that he gave me, that one moment in time when I was 32 years old, I'm now 57, that changed my life, man, because I use that almost every day. So if that's not important to have a mentor to somebody, they're missing the entire point of it. Because you don't know, it's not that, oh, we meet once a week and we go through the stuff, yeah. But in between, there's the gems, right? The moments where the intuition and the universe come together in a moment that hands you something that's absolute gold that you can take and embrace and use for the rest of your life. And I've had those moments through my entire life. I could give you stories all day long about that. So how important is coaching and mentorship? If you're not doing it, you're completely missing out. You're not going to reach your potential, and you're never going to get to where you should be. I promise you. So grab yourself a coach, grab yourself a mentor. It's got to happen, period.
Yeah,
Look,
completely. There you go.
Olympic sports, Olympic. Look, Madonna has a voice coach. Why? You know what I mean? Why do Olympians train all the time with their coaches? They're not Olympian trainers. They don't have to be. They're the coaches, right? Why does everybody who's successful always have a coach or a mentor? Whether it's a celebrity, acting, it doesn't matter. You know, you have like George Clooney takes acting, still has an acting coach. Why? Because he's got to get better. You can't do it on your own. So if you're one of those people that say, I don't need a coach, I don't need a mentor, I know, well then I'm sorry, but you're going to miss out.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, mate. It's everything, right? And it just takes you to that next level from not just what to do, but it's those mindset and identity shifts, like you were just mentioning there, right? Along the journey. And all of a sudden, things start to click and they bring that out, right, in you. And then they push you further, going, you think you're here, but actually you can do 20 times more than that. And this is how it's going to happen. All of a sudden, you hit that benchmark and you're like, okay, what's the next one, right?
Yep.
You know, and it's just
well, you learn through time. You learn through time also by panning out. Like I said, is while you're almost at that next level, you already see the next level coming up, and then it starts to smell together where you're on this path, and it's like, wow, like this is crazy. Like this deal I'm doing now, I brought like 7 different people together from 7 different companies that are now all doing this one deal, all bolting on the companies to each other, turning into this massive, once in a lifetime chance. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing and testament to you, right? To be able to build those relationships and architect that, right? To put the pieces together, so to speak.
And why is that? Why is that? Because I focus on what I'm good at. That's it. I'm the connector. So here's a company that does this. Here's a company that does this. Here's a company that does this, and this company does that. And they're all really good people. And I see synergies between these guys, and actually these two as well, and then these guys. So how can I construct that? Where are the gaps where they don't have to put in any money or any extra work, where these guys can fill this and they can fill that, and then we have a full picture. That's sort of what I do. So I focus on that connection, period. That's it. And I can do it really well because that's all I do. I don't do the finances. I got someone for that. I don't do the structuring. I got someone for that. None of that stuff. I have a call every Wednesday that I've been doing for 5 years. 5 years I've been doing it every Wednesday. Crazy. And when I thought about it the other day, I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And it started out as just M&A. Now it's M&A, deal structuring, bankers, investors, private equity, all entrepreneurs from all over the world, literally all over the world, coming together and finding ways to do deals together. Who wants to sell? Who wants to buy? Who's acquiring? All this kind of stuff. And that's a massive deal flow for me as well. But it's also coaching. I coach these people when they come in. I'm always dropping the messages about how to do this. Okay, if you're talking about a deal and you're the first time you're talking to somebody, you're talking about numbers and structuring, you're not going to get that deal. Who are they? What's their issue? What's their perceived outcome? What's the actual outcome that they want? What are they telling you? What do they really mean? All these things only come through conversation and building that relationship.
Yeah, no, I love it, mate. So true. Completely agree. And when you build those relationships well, right, like you said, without any preconceived area, just to build and add value and solve problems, then opportunities come up, and then it's about you to see them and capitalize on them, where everybody wins, right? That's the main thing as well. So yeah, love it. And mate, you shared so much gold with us here today. And I guess as we're starting to wrap up, what one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today?
I think most entrepreneurs who come to me and they want coaching, the number one problem they have is no time. And that's because they don't delegate. And so there's a simple saying that I've coined a long time ago. Actually, Apple wrote it in their offices when I said it to them in Switzerland, is you have to delegate the task, but you own the responsibility. So delegate the task, not the responsibility, and you're fine. Not only that, you're empowering everyone around you in your team to grow with the company, take ownership, and take all this weight off your shoulders. So you, the visionary who founded the company or was running the company, can actually do what you're supposed to be doing instead of getting stuck in the mud of trying to run it every single day. So delegate the task, not the responsibility.
Yeah, love it, mate. Completely agree. Very, very important and powerful. And yeah, we connected, through our networks in Dubai together, having all these amazing things. And yeah, I learned about your awesome journey from being a veteran to a strategic advisor and coach. And you're an awesome guy, mate. So knowledgeable and so authentic, right? In how you show up in everything with your wife, your deals, and everything that you get up to, mate. And I'm sure you continue to be an exceptional role model for generations to come. I'm very grateful that we connect. I look forward to doing many deals with you as well, mate. And I guess, making things happen, which is going to be really, and having fun along the journey, which is I think the main thing as well. And so yeah, how can people find you, get in contact with you, Steven?
Absolutely. Just write me an email, steven@humblealpha.com. Steven with a V, by the way. I know a lot of the British and the Australians like the PH version, but it's a V. I'm American. Or you can just find me on Instagram or the other platforms. It's always the same, Steven Eugene Kuhn. You'll always find me on every platform under that name, Steven Eugene Kuhn. Connect with me. Let's chat. If you're out there and you're looking for a way to scale and grow, either personally or professionally or both, not to be that guy, but it'll be tough to find somebody who does it like I do, just simply because I will introduce you to my entire network, find deals in your industry, and the next thing you know, you're growing and scaling things that you never even knew that you could. And that's, for me, that's the whole thing right there. Is how do I bring somebody to a point where they're going to grow without even realizing it? And next thing you know, they're going to look around and go, I just created something that I never knew I could even create. That's what I do. And that's what people who want that, who think that's not possible, give me a holler. And on a 30-minute call, you will leave, whether we work together or not, you will leave with such value. You're going to be like, damn, that was a good call. So give me a holler.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Definitely check out Steven there. Reach out to him direct on socials and that. And he adds heaps of value in his videos as well, but definitely reach out, and I'm sure he can take it to the next level, mate. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, and thanks for being on the Business Growth Show.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Casiotis, or visit my website, athincasiotis.com. If you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way you know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results.